Day 2. A letter came through my university mailbox, forwarded from the main office. It had a legal firm's name and the return address, and came with a sealed envelope inside. When I opened it, I had to read it twice to understand. My name had been listed as the emergency guardian for a minor me half-sister. My parents were apparently planning to leave the country. According to the attached document, they had submitted forms naming me as the legal fallback in case of emergency. No heads up, no permission. Just my name printed like I'd volunteered. I called the attorney listed in the notice. After confirming my identity, they sounded confused. They told me they'd been assured this was a family arrangement. I explained I was estranged and hadn't spoken to either parent in years. The line went quiet. Then they said they'd send me the necessary forms to contest the filing and apologize for the mistake. I used the savings from my internship to retain a lawyer. The next day, we prepared a statement rejecting guardianship and included records showing my legal emancipation. I gave her a folder with my college registration, my financial aid records, and the journal entry documenting the returned letter. She said it would help build a timeline while pulling financial documents together. She ran a credit history search on me and found something worse. I was still listed on 2 unpaid medical debts from childhood hospital visits from over a decade ago. The charges had been aging in collections and were dragging my file down. One was from an urgent care visit when I was 11. The other was a pediatric hospital stay the same year. My parents had never removed my name, and the billing system hadn't flagged me as a minor. When the debts transferred to a collection agency, we contacted the hospital and submitted my emancipation order, along with a sworn statement about the family estrangement. My lawyer sent a demand letter requesting full removal of my liability. It took weeks of back and forth, but the hospital finally agreed to clear the record once they verified I had never been responsible for payment. I made copies of every email and filed them in a binder. Then things got worse. My university's financial aid office requested a meeting. They'd received an anonymous report claiming I had undeclared support from family and wasn't eligible for certain grants. I had to produce every document again: legal status, tax records, bank statements. My lawyer stepped in and submitted formal affidavits and court papers verifying my independence. After a full review, the aid office ruled in my favor. But the timing was too suspicious to ignore. I asked my lawyer to trace the source of the tip-off. She said we might not get a name, but if it came from a registered user or IP with a pattern, it could be subpoenaed in future legal matters. I gave her permission to proceed if needed. I wasn't going to let anyone undermine what I had worked for. After that, I went through every university record and requested a full update. I removed any remaining family fields, deleted their names from old forms, and added only verified chosen contacts. The friend's mother, who had welcomed me over winter break, agreed to sign a notarized statement describing her role as my emergency contact and her history of support. We filed that with the school as well. One of my professors invited me to speak on a college panel about resilience and navigating independence. I agreed, but only under my first name. The panel was open to students and staff, and the turnout was larger than expected. I talked about systems show they break, who gets lost, and what happens when no one notices. Afterward, a professor from the writing department came up and told me I had the bones of something bigger. Not a story for pity, but a case study on how easy it is for someone to fall through every crack if no one asks the right questions. That night, I started outlining chapters. I didn't start with the emotional parts. I started with paperwork, the lost medical records, the school documents, the fake guardian filing. I wanted facts that couldn't be twisted. As a final step, my lawyer filed paperwork to block my parents from ever using my name and legal documentation again. That meant no future filings, no guardianship claims, no estate planning where I'd be named without consent. If they tried, it would be considered fraud. We also added a statement to the court file that I had no contact and no obligations to any members of my biological family present or future. It wasn't a dramatic moment. There was no closure email or final call. Just a stack of signed documents, a closed folder, and a quiet night in my apartment. The version of me they once abandoned didn't exist in their paperwork anymore. And now, legally, I didn't exist in theirs either. It had been a few months since I'd legally shut every door linking me to my parents when I got another call. This time, from Child Protective Services. They were trying to confirm if I was available to assume temporary guardianship for my half-sister. I didn't know what had happened until they explained that both my parents had been detained overseas in connection with financial fraud. Their daughter had been taken into custody by authorities and was now in the system. No other family members were stepping forward. I told the agent immediately that I had no relationship with her and was not a viable placement. I clarified that I had been legally emancipated for years and had been explicitly removed from any guardianship obligations. She said she understood and would pursue alternate options.